Hi my fellow queens, welcome back to my channel. For everybody who is new, I'm Leorah, and today we are doing this. I am doing a tutorial for a natural, classy, glamorous look. Would you believe that? Nobody saw that one coming, but yes I do. And that's what I came up with. And if you are intrigued why I'm doing this, why, then just keep on watching. Now, you must be wondering what's happening to me, because why would I do a classy, natural look like that? Because that is really not where I'm at right now, maybe in 10 years, but right now I'm very, very much into bold colors and bold looks. But a few months ago, one of you, precious ladies, wrote to me in my comment section and said she likes my colorful looks very much, but she herself is something like 60 years old and she's working in an office and she needs a tutorial about a look that she can wear to the office. So I'm going to force myself to tone it down a little bit and just create a very, very classy, glamorous, everyday glam look. I have to sort of try to rein in my horses and not try to go in a different direction, but I'm going to try my best to give that to you. So what I've done so far is I toned my face, I put moisturizer on, I put sunscreen on, I did my eyebrows, and I tight lined my upper lash line. And someone wanted to see what I'm using, so that is the Infallible Stylo eyeliner from L'Oreal in waterproof, because for the upper lash line, for the tight lining, you really need something waterproof. So obviously I have to sort of skip through the tutorial if I want to show you everything I'm doing, but I hope that it will still be of some benefit to you. So I'm starting out putting on my Revlon Color Stay concealer to prime my eyelids. And then I'm just dapping it down with a sponge. A very important thing about this step is, please, especially when you're a little bit older, try to take the concealer into this corner here, because these corners tend to get really dark, especially when you're older. And the second you have something light in here, or something skin color at least, it will sort of give you a much fresher look. So that is just a very simple tool to look fresher without even a big effort. The palette that I want to use for this look today is actually a palette that I would not have bought myself, at least not in my current state of taste and what I like. But my dearest best friend thought that I need this in my collection, and she's right, you know. So today we're working with the BH Cosmetics Desert Oasis palette, and let me just show you how this baby looks. It looks like that. And if I were to create a look just with that palette, it would basically, I would be using the blues right here, and this is it. Actually, the highlighter shades are very nice. I use them almost every day. But creating a look just with one palette in this, it would not be my personal favorite. But there are always occasions for everything, and I personally do not believe that you need to create looks just with one palette. You can always mix and match. But for our purpose today, this one is actually very perfect, because we want to use those warm shades here in the crease, and then maybe, depending on how far you want to take the look, one of the shimmers on the lid. And so we're going to just go right through the whole thing. So first, I'm going to use this shade, the shade Sand, which is like a bone color. And I'm going to set my concealer. Now, usually I don't do that. With my colorful looks, I do not set my concealer. But in this case, I would totally do it, because it's supposed to be a more blended out, more flowing, more natural kind of look. So, so you really need to do that, I think. Like, if you're asking my advice, and you're here, right? So I guess you're asking my advice. So I taped myself down, which is just my personal preference. You do not have to do that. You can just take it very natural. this is just what I do. I'm totally living this right now. So this is my personal extra glamour that I cannot give up on that right now. Okay, so what we do now is actually super, super simple. And because you have set your concealer, you could be basically done within seconds. This look could be done very, very fast. So let's just go in with this shade here. It's called Canyon, and just warm up the crease. And if that is all you want to do, to just create a little bit of a, you know, brighter eye, and that's it, then you could basically be done. So you basically just put that in your crease to warm it up and blend it out. And this is it. It makes a huge difference already, like right there. Ta-da, right? That is basically like a very, very simple step, and you basically you didn't do anything, right? So you could stop right there. Basic, am I saying basically too much? Okay, so what we do is that's the first step. And then you can, of course, build it up more if you want a little bit more of an impact, because these shades layer very, very nicely. But don't forget to blend it out. So it's like nicely blended out upwards. And there you go. So this is your everyday glamour. Next step, if you want to do more, if you want to take it a little bit more, and ask me if I want to, you just take the next shade down, which is like just a tiny little bit darker, and it's called the Dune. And you take a little bit of a more defined brush and and just deepen up the crease a tiny little bit more, but don't blend it out like right over the first shade. Just put it in the crease a little bit, and then take the first brush that you used before for the lighter shade and just blend it out. And that's literally how easy it is. So there you go. This is a look that you can wear that every single day, and you'll just look fresh and bright, and you can go to the office, and you can wear this at any age, right? So what you can do to, you know, take it up a step is, for example, depending a little bit on your skin tone, you can use a shimmer like, for example, this one, Mineral, and you can pop that at the highest point under your eyebrow. So let's just do that. And don't take it all over the place, just like a little hint of it, you know, because we want to stay really classy today. So I'm just doing this here. You see this? To build up the look a tiny little bit more, you could now go in, for example, with the shade Sandstone, this one, and let's just put it in the corners here, in the outer corners, or even Nightscape. You know, maybe I should do that. Can I stop myself from doing that? I can't. So I'm just going to take a tiny little hint of this, not very bold, you know, you don't need to go bold. Just take it on a fluffy brush and just pop it a tiny little bit into the corner. Let's just do that and see what happens. So I'm going to take the dark shade Nightscape, and I'm tapping off the brush so it does not by accident become too dark. And I'm just putting it down here, just in the outer corner, just a tiny little bit. Like that. I almost don't recognize myself, and I'm sure my kids will say, Mommy, are you sick? Okay, so that's what I did now. I used that shade, as I said, Nightscape, and just deepened up the outer corners in order to create a little bit more depth in the look. And again, you could just now on the lid put that sand, the bone color shade that we used in the very beginning to set the concealer, Or like if you have very, very textured eyelids, then maybe that's what you should do. But you can also, of course, use one of the shimmery shades and just put that on your lid. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me just quickly decide which one. I think the quartz will do for me today. So what I always do with those kinds of shades, I use my pinky and just apply it like this. And then if I have to use a brush, then after that, then I'll do that. But I always apply the shimmers with my fingers because I do think that they just always look better like that. Now I'm just going to pick up that quartz shade, the shimmery shade again, and on a brush and just work it a little bit more into the crease, because that's always the corner where I can't get with my fingers, to make it look a little bit more defined and pretty. Defined and pretty. Oh, defined and pretty. Did I ever think I would say that about myself? I actually look like an adult now. I don't know what to do with myself. If you tightlined your eyes, your waterline, then you can totally skip the next step. But what I'm going to do is you can apply some nice winged eyeliner. So I am right now using the Maybelline Eye Studio gel eyeliner with a brush. And and we're going to create a nice dark contrast in our eyes to make it really, really nice and interesting. And then like that, we also make the other colors pop way more. This is always the time when I'm starting to feel my looks. When eyeliner is in place, everything looks much, much better, doesn't it? Oh, I think my husband is going to really like that. He's going to want me to be like that every single day. What am I going to do now? Okay, so let's just curl the eyelashes. And like I said, at any time during this tutorial, you basically can stop. You don't have to do any of the additional things that I'm doing now, because it's not necessary. You can just warm up your crease and be done. Okay, so I'm just curling my eyelashes. And then I'm going to take my Maybelline waterproof mascara. And I'm just slightly coating my upper lashes, just a tiny little bit, because this look is going to have falsies. Next, I'm going to do my lower lash line, and I'm going to use a pretty light shade, because of course you could wear black, but that will make your eye close in and look smaller. So I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I'm going to use either, I would use like a skin colored eyeliner, or like a very light brown or something like that. So I'm going to use the Nice Coffee Kajal pencil by Essence, and I'm just going to go into the waterline and just put that down. Like that, we're creating more of an open eye, which I guess is a nice look for an office. Next, I'm going to color correct my under eye area, and I'm using the Infallible 24 Hours Concealer Pomade in Orange. And I'm using that on a flat concealer brush and just putting it down under my eyes. And I've mentioned that before, for me, color correction is such a game changer, because you save so much in concealer afterwards, after applying the foundation, that you have much less creasing going on. And for me, this has been so helpful. And for everybody who has developed age spots, because I don't know if you see this, there is like a rim of age spots that is developing, and I'm just going to make them disappear and look 16. Next, I'm putting down my BB cream. for the rest of my face. And that is, again, I've said that so many times, this is just my personal preference. You don't have to do that, or you just do that and don't do liquid foundation after that. I don't know why I started doing that. For me, it just works out like that. So I'm putting down the BB cream. Next, I'm going to mix my foundation, and for I have to take off my necklace for mixing my foundation. Because, girls, it's so important. Don't forget your neck and your décolleté. When you apply your foundation, I see that so many times that people stop here. If you wear a turtleneck, that's fine, but the neck belongs to your face, okay? So don't forget that. I'm right now using a mixture of the Rimmel Long Lasting 24 Hours foundation. You find it all in the description box. It's a ridiculously long name. And the Stay Matte, also from Rimmel. So I'm just mixing that. And then what I do, and that might be really, really helpful for you as well, if you have no time for big touch-ups during the day, when I'm mixing my foundation on the back of my hand, I always add some setting spray, like 2 pumps of setting spray, and then I'm just mixing it like that with my finger, because it does increase the, how do you say that, the durability, the you know, it just lasts longer and does not move around on your face. And then I'm just going to apply that. I always start under my eyes and just dab it over the orange. Don't like slide around because you don't want to move the orange, but here we just dab it on and then apply it to the rest of the face. To make a long story short, just make sure to really, really nicely work your neck down and whatever area you have to cover here. Next thing I do is I take a sponge and I just dab down my foundation, because I'm so glowy all the time. So I have to realize the fact that nothing in the world will keep my skin from glowing, but it helps. It definitely helps. I don't know if you see the difference on camera, but the second you dab it down, it sort of takes a bit of the extra excess moisture out of the foundation. And if that's what you need, then you can include this step. I totally need it because my T-zone is super glowy. Next, I'm going to apply just a tiny little bit of concealer, which is the Essence Camouflage Full Coverage Concealer. And the good thing about the color correcting is really that you don't have these big areas of concealer that you have to, like, if you're on Instagram, I don't know, makeup artist, then you know how they always do it. It's crazy. And here, I don't need to do that. I'm just applying a tiny little bit here. This is it. Ta-tam, ta-tam. Which will lift this inner corner up. So I'm using now this this end of the sponge and just dapping it on, sort of blending it out. And it just brings a little bit more light into this corner, and that's all I need. Like that. Moving on to contouring. So I'm going to use a contouring palette, a tiny little contouring palette from Maybelline, which I've been using now quite a bit, as you probably can see. I really, really like this shade. This is so good for my skin tone. And I've also mentioned that before, I really, really like to contour with cold tones. So this contour, I'm not talking about bronzer. Bronzer I really like in warm tones, but the contour, I like it cool. Now, if you are a little bit older, like I am, you do not have to set your foundation. This foundation basically set itself. Okay, this is what happens. They do that. Okay, you can, of course. What I use when I do set my foundation is I use the L'Oreal True Match Minerals mattifying powder. I actually could put that on my forehead. Maybe that helps. So that's what you can do, but you don't have to, okay? Because for some people, especially when you're older, as soon as you start putting powder on something liquid, like a liquid foundation, that will, of course, already go into the fine lines and, you know, but so that's why I'm saying you don't have to do that step at all. Let's face it, nothing will keep me from glowing, ever. Back to the contouring. Use a very nice matte, cool shade to contour your cheeks. And especially if you're older, try to go for the mattes now, okay? That is the more classy version. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but that's what I'm going to suggest to you today to do. For bronzing, I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. It's actually a setting powder or a foundation powder. It's just a powder. It's not even officially a bronzer, but that's what I do. You know, freestyling because I like the shade. This is how it looks. It's a nice, warm, light brown that suits my skin tone. And I'm just, you know, ta-da, ta-da. I don't know, with this winged eyeliner, I feel very classy. Very, very classy. Do you like it like this? I don't know myself, but I'm looking in the mirror. This is so weird. Especially lately, I have done such dramatic looks, which you haven't seen yet, because I'm working on stuff behind the scenes. I've been doing photo shoots for different brands, and I have done very, very dramatic looks, and they will come up eventually, so stay tuned. But this is actually really cool. Like, I'm not gonna be a neutral girl ever, but I can wear this. For blush, I'm going to also go for a matte, very gentle, sweet kind of a color, which is this one from Essence. It's called Bury Me Up. And it's like that. I'm just going to put that down, like a little bit above the contour shade. Blush is on. The necklace goes back on. And I think now we can just apply a tiny little bit of, this should hang down a little bit more, a tiny little bit of highlighter. And I would suggest not to go overboard with that, because it's a daytime look, and well, do whatever you want. But if you want to be super classy, then take something that is good for your skin tone. And we are going back to the Desert Oasis palette. And I always feel that this biggest shade here, it's Miracle. And if you're checking my description box, this comes up all the time, that I'm using that as a highlighter. So I would go for this. For my skin tone right now, I would go for that. Let me just find the right brush. There you go. And just gently apply a little bit of it, just a hint. Just a little bit of extra glow, you know, nothing like super crazy. Like that. Did I just call this shade Miracle? It's Mirage. Mirage. Okay, so now for the inner corner, you don't have to do that, but I personally like to highlight my inner corner just a little bit. So for the inner corner, I would suggest this shade, or even a mixture of these two. So maybe what I'm going to do is use Serenity, this one, on a bit of a fluffier brush, and just pop it in right here. And let's see if that's enough for me. I actually think it's enough, because I was thinking maybe put Serenity in here, and then just the center of this area, put like a dot of Bliss, which could be really, really nice. But I think we could actually leave it like this and not go overboard. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, now it's falsies time. Let me just apply those. There you go. Isn't that pretty? Super pretty. Okay, so let me just make sure they're tight. And of course, you don't have to do that. You know, you don't stress about falsies. But for me, I just love it. And I love the natural looking ones, but that are like long but natural looking. So yeah, totally living it. Falsies are on. I'm just going to apply a tiny little bit more of mascara. Just a tiny little bit because I don't want to go too overboard. Now, are we loving this? Are we loving it yet? For the lower lash line, I use a different mascara, which is the L'Oreal Miss Hippie Mega Volume Mascara. I can't believe myself. I actually cannot believe myself. I did it, girls. I'm so proud of myself. I deserve a prize. I totally deserve a prize. I'm totally exhausted. This took so much courage for me, you know? Okay, but we're not done yet. I still want to do the lips. And a natural eye look like this sort of calls for bright lips, but you don't have to do that. You can keep it neutral. You can just put on a, like, even a transparent, clear lip gloss or anything you want. But I want to do, I want to do a red lip. And you know, if you're one of my oldies here, that I'm not very, let's say, passionate about lips, but I'm rising up to the challenge. Let me just dig out, where does it go? Here. Okay, so I'm going to use the lip liner from Jade, from the, what is it? Jade Everlasting Cherry Red, and the lipstick from Essence, from the series Shine On, in 06 Strawberry Popsicle. Now, I don't think it looks at all like strawberry, but okay, maybe for Essence it does. What I would suggest you do is don't take a lip liner that is much darker than your lipstick, especially if you're older, because it'll make your lips look smaller. So I tried to match it up as much as I could to, you know, to have a good color impact, but not make my lips look smaller, because especially my upper lip is not very wide. So I want to sort of work against that. Wow. I totally feel like the classiest girl alive. I can't believe myself. My husband is gonna flip and my kids will not recognize me. But I think it actually is kind of cool. And I certainly hope that this was helpful for you. And unfortunately, I do not remember exactly the name of whom this is for. This one, say it like this. Anyway, so I hope this is helpful. I hope you could take something out of it. And as I said, at any time during this tutorial, you can stop, you can tone it down. You don't have to go all that way. You don't need falsies. You don't need to do a smoky end. You just, you know, deepen up your crease and you can be done. That can be all. Just put on a nice foundation to sort of smoothen out your whole complexion, and maybe some contour and some blush, and you can be done. So take out of this whatever is good for you. And I really hope it helped you. One more thing I want to mention is that I have finished my what's it called, Tommy Girl from Tommy Hilfiger perfume. So when my mom was here, she gave me this as a gift, and that is La Vie est Belle perfume from Lancôme. And I love this because it reminds me of my mom. So this is what I'm wearing right now, in case you're interested, because I sort of, when I change something in my routine, I always let you know. And this is it for today. So, if you're new here and you enjoyed this content, then please like and subscribe. But be warned that looks like this don't come up very often. And other than that, you find all my social media and all my makeup and everything you find in the description box. And besides that, I just hope that you will come back for my next video next week and just do me one favor. Go ahead and sparkle. Be your glamorous, super classy, everyday glamorous girl that you can be. And everybody at his own range, right? Everybody at his own whatever comfort zone they have. But listen, I've gone out of my comfort zone for you like you wouldn't believe. This is hard for me, okay? Green and blue and purple and red is not hard for me. This is hard for me. But really, today I deserve some praise. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I really did enjoy this too. And see you next time. Hugs and kisses. Bye.